So, next up on my random Doctor Who personal favourites marathon list, Series 9, the Series 9 opener, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. Broadcast in two parts from between the 19th of September 2015 and the 26th of September of the same year. The Doctor, played once again by Peter Capaldi, is seemingly facing the end of his life, so he decides to retire and throw himself a 3-week party at a castle in Essex in 1138 before he is eventually found by his companion, Clara Oswald, played once again by Daniel Coleman, his old friend slash archenemy Missy, played once again by Michelle Gomez, and a mysterious creature called Colony Sarf, played by Jamie Reed Quarrell. Sarf tells the Doctor that Davros is facing the end of his life, and that the Doctor must face Davros one last time, with Julian Bleach once again returning as Davros. The Doctor, Missy and Clara are taken back to Skaro, where, upon finding that they are on Skaro, Clara and Missy appear to be murdered, with Davros taunting the Doctor and try and get him to admit that compassion is wrong, referencing a moment in their past in which the Doctor had seemingly refused to save a child Davros from a load of landmines. But that's not all, as Davros has of course got many more plans to torture his old enemy. So, why do I like this particular episode as opposed to everything else in Series 9? Well, I gotta admit, first off, I'm not that big a fan of Series 9. I feel it's alright. I do feel there's some good episodes in there, but I don't know. I'm just not kind of a fan of the overall character arc. And I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, whenever I look back and say, why do I not rank Series 9 higher than others, usually I look at actress Maisie Williams. Now, here's the thing. Maisie Williams is a fine actress. She's done very well for herself, and she is possibly one of the biggest new actresses of our generation, with her role in Game of Thrones and a rising career. But I felt that most of Series 9 was written to show off that they managed to get Maisie Williams. I mean, I know she only appears in a third of the series, only appearing in 4 episodes. Those being the girl who died, the woman who lived, Face the Raven, and Hellbent. But I don't know, I always kind of feel like they wrote it around her, and I gotta admit I'm not that big a fan of the character. But that's beside the point. She doesn't appear in these episodes at all, and I think the main reason that I like The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar is that I feel that it succeeded where I felt another episode in New Who failed. Now, around the time of the start of Series 7 in 2012, they mentioned that the first episode, titled Asylum of the Daleks, was going to feature a load of kind of classic Dalek designs. Showing designs from Daleks in the 60s, Daleks in the 70s, Daleks from the 80s. You get the picture. There will be a load of different Daleks, and they would all be in this episode. But they probably are in there, and you definitely can spot a few classic designs in there, but I feel once you got down into the heart of the asylum, the kind of darkness, the Daleks, I feel in that episode, it was very hard to tell one sort of Dalek apart from another. I mean, they all kind of looked similar in the darkness, which is why I felt Asylum of the Daleks, well, it's an okay episode. It didn't really deliver on the promise that was given. The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, however, that did it right. Because once they've arrived on Skaro and Missy and Clara have seemingly managed to escape their cell, as Skaro comes into focus, the two of them are found by a classic era Dalek, and when it appears on screen, that's when you get the moments of nostalgia. You see the classic design of the Dalek coming up over the hill, and you just think, oh crap. Just you know that was it done right. That way it was fully in daylight. It, you could see the classic design of it, and when they get into a room with a load of other kind of Dalek designs from over the years in there, it's just brilliant. I mean, you've got the Supreme Dalek, you've got Dalek Sex Black Dalek, you've got Daleks in the 60s, the Special Weapons Dalek. That that is, I felt, how to do it right. And I do feel once again that Julian Bleach does very well as Davros. I mean, while while I admit the Stolen Earth and Journey's End from series 4 is, I think, the best episode of series 4 and definitely one of my favourites, I in here, Julian Bleach and Peter Capaldi, they work off each other brilliantly. Just two seemingly older men who's had this rivalry going on for so many years, and they make it work. This episode, the story also harks back to essentially the first meeting between these two in 1974's Genesis of the Daleks, when a question was posed. If someone who knew the future pointed out a child to you in the crowd and told you that child would grow up totally evil, to be a monstrous dictator who would go on to murder millions of innocent people, could you then kill that child? And as I mentioned, the Doctor and Davros have met many times over the years, but then finally coming back to that question, that debate of whether you could kill one child then to save millions in the future, it is still a question that resonates. And while they don't entirely get around to answering it, at least in the traditional sense, it is still a really good part. Now, I know that there's one other thing that I think I have to bring up, because this episode also introduced one thing for Series 9 that I know quite a lot of people aren't a fan of. I personally didn't mind them, but I know there are lots of people who didn't like them. And that is the Sonic sunglasses. Seemingly for Series 9, Peter Capaldi's Doctor gave up the sonic screwdriver. It is shown that he had previously been using it when trying to save the young child, but once he realised that that child was Davros, he seemingly abandoned the sonic. And then he mentions at the end of The Witch's Familiar, when he and Clara are seemingly trapped, he mentions that, oh yeah, I'm over screwdrivers, they ruined the line of your jacket. These days I'm all about wearable technology. And yeah, there are some people that really didn't like the Sonic sunglasses. I personally don't mind them. I think they're a fun addition, but I'm glad that he eventually did get a proper Sonic screwdriver back at the end of this series. But that series. But you know what? I still enjoy these two episodes. I mean, they delivered on something that I previously felt had been lacking from the previous time they tried to do it. They managed to bring back a classic enemy once again and make him sinister. They managed to create some pretty cool stuff, and even a moment of tension at the end when essentially Missy is trying to trick the Doctor into killing Clara. Even I feel that was very cleverly done. And they, and once again, I do feel it's a good set of episodes. I mean, feel free to watch them for yourselves and make your own decisions, but yeah, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar is my personal favourites or guilty pleasures from Series 9. So the next number that's been generated on my Guilty Pleasures Marathon is the number 3, Series 3. And my two from there are the Shakespeare Code and Gridlock. What do I think of those? Well, you'll have to wait and see. Until then, see ya.